Braam.
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Okay, the matter is now open for debate. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got a question. Those 5 questions that Mr. Brake was going to ask, have they been successfully resolved?
Mr. Braam. Mr. Brake.
Madam Mayor, I have emailed off the details of that, asked them to consider a response and come back to me after they've considered how they address those 5, at least 5 matters that you raised. So I haven't got their response back yet.
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can we pass it if we haven't got what we asked them to help us explain what they're up to? What we're doing is passing an interim one. Are they going to come back with another one?
Mr. Brake.
So Madam Mayor, that's their choice. I'd suggest that they do come back with another one, but you receive this one in the interim. Because this is the one that means they've met the statutory deadline.
Okay, so we have a recommendation here that Council receives the Experience Mid-Canterbury Draft 1819 Statement of Intent, understanding that Mr. Brake is investigating the questions that were asked by Council. Are there any further comments? Any debate on the matter? Then I'll put the recommendation on in support. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Councillors, we're now on to item 6.4, page 17, for the CBD Streetscape Renewal and Parking Management. And I welcome Jane Donaldson, the author of the report. And Rebecca. Welcome, Rebecca. Ladies, thank you very much for the report. We have read through it. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy to answer any questions. The only comment I can think of is that if you do adopt these recommendations today, we're proposing to start public consultation on the 21st of May, which is just after consultation on the LTP poses, so that we don't confuse people with too much consultation at once.
Councillor Reveley.
Yeah, not clear to me where the finance, the 13.2, the time frames or where the finance is coming from. I see some of it, I don't see it all.
Do you want to answer that, Brian?
Basically, the streetscape.
Sorry, Brian, would you just like to come and join us? We struggle to hear up here sometimes. I welcome Mr. Brian Firth, our roading manager.
Through you, Madam Mayor. The normal footpath replacement account would pay for a percentage of the works on the footpath. Normal curb and channel account would pay for some of the work on the curb and channel, or all the work on the curb and channel. As far as the roading goes, that is a normal rehabilitation type project and would be fit into a normal rehabilitation program. The extras involved in the tiling and that type of thing would have to be funded separately, and I'm not quite sure just how that would be funded at this particular point in time.
Councillor Wilson.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Over what time period would you expect that, with that way of funding, to take it to be done, Brian?
I would expect that we'd be looking at about 5 years overall, I would suggest.
Councillor Rawlinson.
Just to provide some clarity, would Ms Donaldson like to perhaps highlight where we would start on this, which the street, I assume?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Rebecca has done some work with the property owners that we know are going to be doing work to try and work out where we should start, because you obviously wouldn't want to be spending this sort of money and then have a hotel built on your brand new road and footpath. So we still haven't firmed up completely on those dates. Did you have a a thought about where we would start?
Yeah, I mean, we will need to go back and talk to those developers again because it's probably been a few months since I spoke to them and their timeframes do move around a bit, but the intention's always been to stage it. And at this point in time, East Street doesn't have any major developments other than the Mooney building that I know of happening, so that might be a good place to start because it's also the main street, so it would be a good one to frame the beginning of the development, I think.
Excuse me, Rebecca, did I just hear that if there are developers or property owners out there who are ready to do some changes to the CBD, you're keen to hear from them so that you have a full picture of exactly what's on the horizon?
Yes, so
is that what I just heard?
The developers that we know of through inquiries to our building team, etc., those that have just recently redeveloped, plus ones that are looking to develop in the future, we have already spoken to. We asked them all the same questions. We said it would be a confidential process, but that we just needed to get an idea about when they might start so that we didn't end up with a new road dug up. We're on ongoing discussions with those parties, and I have let them know that this meeting is happening today, and we'll let them know what the outcome is. But then we will also get, providing council gives it the green light, we'll get into consultation with all of the land owners and tenants within the area, and we'll contact all of them through that process too. So, yeah, we'll get underway once we've got the green light and we've got the LTP out of the way.
Thank you for the explanation. Councillor Rebecca?
Yeah, supplementary to what I asked the grading manager before, you said there'd be a percentage of the footpaths. Where would the other percentage of the footpaths cost come from?
What I was looking at what I was looking at there was the percentage being that the normal footpath is an asphalt footpath. This project includes a certain amount of tiling, and that would be extra to the overall normal things that would have to be rated for as a separate entity.
Councillor Brown?
Maybe just a question on the cycleways. I see cycleways on the plan. Would you need dedicated cycleways if you were limiting the speed to 30 kilometres an hour? I could say if it's 50 kilometres an hour or 80, yes, but 30, would they not be complementary to each other at that speed?
Part of the scope was to have some consideration to how the CBD development might link into the wider network, including cycleways. So you're right, in those urban streets in the middle, there'll be shed surfaces and things, so they'll be able to have a slower speed environment. But Cass Street was seen as a link that might link into a wider network, and while we were looking at it, Everleigh recommended that we put those in as part of a step towards a wider network.
It's going out for consultation, so we'll hear what the people say.
Yes.
Councillor Ellis?
Thank you. If there's no further questions, I'm happy to move the recommendation 6.4.2, 1 and 2.
Councillor Rawlinson?
And I'm very happy to second that.
Okay, the matter is now open for debate, councillors. There being none, I'm happy to put the recommendation. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. And just before you leave, can I thank the staff for the work that has been done thus far? Thank you. Councillors, item 6.5, page 24, climate change. And I wish to welcome Mel and Vincent, who are the authors of the report. Ladies, thank you very much for the work that's been done on the report thus far. Councillors have read the report, and I'd like to hand over to you if you have anything you'd like to add.
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, councillors, the report is in front of you, and we have a couple of recommendations suggested by staff. Are there any questions for the authors of the report? Then it would be my pleasure to move the recommendation as written on page 24, that the climate change report be received, and that a climate change policy be developed. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Rawlinson.
Sorry, no, I wasn't seconding it. I had my button on.
Sorry, you have a question then?
I just had a question around the recommendations that we, second one, that when climate change policy be developed, and my concern reading what Canterbury are doing with their group, are we going to try and duplicate what they're doing in that part, in part two, by spending time and money doing what is already being done at the Canterbury level? That was my question.
Through the chair, what's actually happening regionally will be something that will feed into what we need to do locally. This council, when we presented it to you, stipulated very clearly we wanted an Ashburton-specific policy for climate change. That's what we're proposing to do to help you meet that objective. We will, of course, be working hand in hand with what the regional group is doing, but they may choose to go in a direction that locally you may not wish to. So we need to have that flexibility to be specific for our district.
Councillor Price.
Thank you. I'd be happy to second that motion.
Thank you. So the Mayor has moved, Councillor Price has seconded. The matter is now open for debate. Councillor Reveley.
Right, as you probably know, I'm not that big a fan of this. I believe that we're still jumping the gun. We still have a government making policies on climate change, and I'm not sure that we aren't just wasting our time until all that policy comes out from government. I don't see any haste this time to do this, and I'll be voting against part two if they stay in two parts. I'll probably move in a minute for it to become part one and then part two. We'll see what goes.
So, Councillor Reveley, just in regards to your statement, I'd like to put a question to the authors of the report. At the bottom of the last paragraph in 6.5.3, the last sentence states a climate change policy will also provide guidance when responding to queries from other organisations such as LGNZ, who are now conducting research on understanding Council's work on adaptation and mitigation. So my understanding, Councillor Reveley, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is the staff are seeking guidance and clarification from us so that they can answer appropriately. Have I understood that correctly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, that's exactly right, because at the moment I'm your representative on the Climate Change Working Group, and when I go and meet with the other council members, it's difficult for me to understand what this council's position is, so a policy would help for us and give other people consistent messaging.
Yeah, that's exactly the sentence we've got to be looking at. We're still waiting on clarification from these people. We're going to write a policy and we're going to make it that loose that we can just keep adding, because I would imagine there's probably 6 or 8 months more of the government working on this policy. So if we sat on our hands and put the second part in abeyance for 6 months, I think we could write something quite constructive.
Councillor Reveley, my understanding is right now our staff member is representing us at a regional level and struggling with clarity on where we are at. As is identified in the report, they are well aware of the changes coming from central government and the policy will incorporate those changes, but they need direction in the interim. Have I understood that correctly?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Braam.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. If we develop a policy, I would like to see in it how we're going to stop climate change and the actions that this council is going to take to stop climate change as part of the policy. Because that's the crux of it. We are not wanting climate change because some people believe it's not good for us, so we need to stop it. So I'd like to know how we're going to stop it.
Councillor Price, are you, sorry, just because we're in debating mode, I just want to see clarification. Are you using your right to reply?
No, I wasn't.
Why don't you say yes you are? This is your speaking opportunity.
Okay. Just to respond first of all to Councillor Brown's question, I think the word is mitigation rather than stopping. I don't think any of us have the ability to stop climate change. We're way too far down the track for that. But we can protect our very precious investments around the district by mitigating it. I'd just like to remind you that when we chose not to sign the LGNZ declaration, we not only did ourselves reputational harm around the country, but we also did decide that we were going to develop a policy. I don't think now is the time to be backing out of that promise.
Councillor Brown, is this further to your speaking, or have you got a question?
Further to my speaking. Page 31, under themes, on the regional climate working group that's been attended, it's now attended. At point 1, effects of changing weather on infrastructure, stormwater and drinking water. It's an urban thing. Where's the infrastructure for agriculture? Climate change affects agriculture as much as it affects urban, so we probably need to store more water. We need resilient infrastructure, it says, and to understand the financial implications. We need to look at the big picture if we're going to do anything at all, not just look at urban.
Absolutely agree, and once we give direction and clarification to our staff member, they'll be able to go and represent us. So, councillors, are there any further debate on this matter? Then I'm happy to put the recommendation as recorded on page 24. I'm in support. All in support, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much to the staff for the work that is done so far, and thank you very much, Mel, for representing us at the regional level. Councillors, we are now on to item 6.6, Governance Structure Midterm Review. It's on page number 35 of the report. And councillors, just a couple of amendments I firstly wish to make to the report, some housekeeping procedural motions. And Mr. Brake, I have sent them to you in writing. Would it put you on the spot if we could just go through what those amendments were, please? Is that a yes that will put you on the spot? Sorry. Thank you very much.
You might need to add to the ones that I haven't got here.
Sure. So if we could just start by page 38. I don't believe there were any changes on page 38 in regards to structure. On page 39, the structure we're looking at is, we had reserve board appointment, Maronan Hall, is that right?
Yep, that was going to be removed.
So Maronan Reserve Board appointment. As you will recall, councillors, the Maronan Hall has become part of Hines, so therefore we're removing the statement of representation. Page number 40. You don't have the report, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Community Road Reference Group.
I believe the question there was to combine those two road and reference groups.
Yes, so rather than have a rural road reference group and an urban road reference group, we are going to have one road reference group. Stockwater surface water strategy. I did ask if they could be combined. Could you perhaps just remind me of the response?
The feedback we got was that the stockwater working group and the surface water strategy working group are two different groups, do different focuses. So the stockwater working group was primarily concerned with addressing stockwater closure requests, and the surface water strategy working group will have a shorter life than the previous working group, so it was felt that they should remain separate and can carry on having separate membership.
Okay, thank you. Under council controlled organisations and shareholding, the Canterbury Regional Economic Development Corporation.
That's now gone, so that can come off the list. That organisation doesn't exist anymore. And also under there was the RDR remuneration, RDR there being an appointment on that.
Yes, so
which
there,
needs to be added.
thank you very much. Working down the next page, local government sector groups. We have the mayoral forum, the rural provincial sector, and the zone 5 and 6. And Deputy Mayor and I were talking about it. And during zone 5 and 6, we haven't been inviting him. And according to this, we should have. So we discussed perhaps having the mayor and chief executive on all 3 committees and the deputy mayor as alternate on all 3 committees. Under community organisations, Safe Ashburton and Council Mtg.
That's correct, that's one's not there at the moment, but should be.
So that reflects a decision that was made by Council on the 21st of September. Bar Hill Liaison, we appointed 2 members. Could you just remind me why they're not on the list?
They were to simply liaise with that group and weren't actually put on to the actual committee. So that's their job's just to liaise, not as committee members.
Okay, thank you. And under Environment Canterbury, river rating areas, Ashburton Rivers and the Ashburton Town Stock Banks, I was advised that perhaps they have been combined. Could you just remind us, please?
So we've got quite a confused response from ECAN on that, and it appears that quite a few of these rating districts aren't meeting regularly anyway, especially the Ashburton Stock Bank one. So I need to go back to ECAN again and clarify whether the intention is to carry on with both of those, but it sounds like they actually one the same.
And there potentially are some other decisions that we also need to make, so there'll be a supplementary report coming.
So I've been requested to come back on about 3 or 4 other I suppose possible appointments to committees, and I'll need to come back to you with a report on each one of those.
Excellent, thank you. And just one last thing, on the 21st of September I presented to Council a list of appointments that the Office of Mayor is on. It is your advice that that not be included on these appointments?
So they're not actually appointments by the council. They are appointments that have cropped up through various organisations' constitutions, so it's simply written in that the mayor will be a member of their committee, and so they're not actually appointments by the council at all. And I think my advice was that we should actively get those removed. Also, wonder whether we've missed the PHO Kerry Smith appointment as well.
Yes, thank you very much. So we have one external appointment Council makes on the rural PHO, and that is Kerry Smith, and we've recently refreshed that. So the items that I identified on the 21st of September, I will liaise with you and see if we can work our way through removing the Office of Mayor, or in fact reviewing why the Mayor is there, and perhaps when we do the next review, which will be the start of next term, they could be included in consideration. Thank you very much. So with those amendments made, councillors, the report we have in front of us was kindly prepared by Mr. Brake and the Chief Executive. Thank you. And as we get to the middle of our term, can I firstly thank you all for the work that you have done. One thing that has been a problem for me has been the availability of the Deputy Mayor, and I have appreciated the support he has been able to give. However, the 2 titles that he had as Deputy Mayor and as Chair of Finance are both very big roles, and so I've asked that I could separate those roles again. On reflection of how the first half of term has gone, I think we've done well, but I want to go faster. So I've asked Councillor Brown to become constant in the seat of Deputy Mayor, which then releases the seat of Chair of Finance. Now, on reflection of how the first half of term has gone, I've actually asked, my recommendation is that Councillor Ellis take up the chair of Finance, that Councillor Braam remain as the Deputy Chair, that Councillor Wilson stays as the Chair of Service Delivery, and that Councillor Price move into the role of Deputy Chair of Service Delivery. So I will put that first recommendation. Do I have a seconder? So the Mayor has moved, Councillor Braam has seconded. The matter is open for debate. Councillor Braam?
Just a clarification before I ask questions. Oh, this is a question I will ask. Which is the first one, what are you referring to? Once I've got option 1, status quo. 0.664. Are we both answering the first one?
Councillor Braam, you are correct. That is what is written in the report. However, that report has come from staff, and I chose to put forward another recommendation.
So supplementary, we go to option 3, is that correct?
Sorry, where is option 3 that you are
On
referring
page
to?
37.
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Do you have another question, Councillor Braam? So at the moment, councillors, you heard the recommendation, and I have Councillor Braam has seconded. The matter is open for debate. There being none, I will put that recommendation. Councillor Braam?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so, no, Councillor, for those who didn't hear, Councillor Braam said, I'm sorry, that's too early. Is that what I heard?
We have a discussion after it. It is part. Oh, I can talk now. That's quite happy.
The matter is open for debate,
Okay,
so if you wish to debate, now is the time.
I would like to debate this. As you know, Madam Mayor, I'm not in favour of this, for different reasons. I will keep it polite, but the most unnerving thing for me was being the last councillor on this committee who found out. I am the councillor who is affected by this, in a negative way. But sitting in a bus and seeing handshakes happening down the back, but not knowing what was going on, and then being told in 30 seconds on the bottom of the steps in Carport Library, doesn't really make me feel that happy about the whole way it's been handled. Going back to this as well, 6.66 tells me significance and engagement. External consultant is not required on this matter. The Mayor has consulted with elected members in person. I was certainly not consulted whatsoever. But okay, it was told to me what was going to happen. We had a discussion the day after, because the day I couldn't ask any questions driving the bus. So we had a discussion, and I asked you to give reasons why Councillor Ellis should take over instead of me stepping up. You gave me 2 answers, or 2 reasons why. First, it never happens that a new councillor steps up to be a chair in his first term. The only thing which you missed out there is it didn't happen in Ashburton. It is a common thing all over New Zealand. So a first councillor stepping up to a chair is common, except it never happened here. Okay, that's what you wanted. The second reasoning you brought to me, and I wrote it down, is Councillor Ellis, a nice fellow, no trouble with him there, missed out. So I thought it would be nice to give him a chairmanship for the last 18 months of this term. To me, as a financial guy, doesn't really sit right at all. That is not a good look, just putting someone up for that reason. But it's your choice, and you make the decision. I won't step away from this council. This council is too dear to me, this town is too dear to me, but I will step up. I will do the best for the people in this district. You said to me, hey, you can reply You might find some other councillor who wants to put up another motion so you could step up. I know my hair is light, but I'm not blonde. I'm also in this council, in the finance reason, because I can count. So if I do that, I might need some help to explain exactly what's going on. I pinched this for my granddaughters, and it might explain how I feel. For me to challenge you, I have to find a councillor who will speak against your wishes. But I don't even want to go that far. I didn't even ask anyone any reason for it, because I can count. Number one, the mayor won't vote against her resolutions. We've got 3 councillors who have to be seen to be part of your team, won't count against you. That's 4.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Yes,
I
Councillor Wilson.
don't want the councillor to continue on this to state he thinks where we as support is. He's putting words in our mouths. I don't think this sort of talk should continue because Councillor Braam can't speak for me what I think in this situation, so I think he should desist from continuing this line.
Madam Mayor.
Councillor Wilson,
Sorry.
Councillor Braam, firstly, I get to rule on Councillor Wilson's point of order. Now, Councillor Wilson, I believe that you have merit in your statement, and I think it inappropriate that a councillor put forward statements that other councillors are going to make. So I rule in favour of Councillor Wilson on the point of order.
I'll take the back, Madam Mayor. But you did the same in the bus. You told everyone what you wanted before you even talked to me.
Councillor Braam, if you want me to go through point by point what happened,
No,
well then, what I can say is I have apologised for you the way the information fell out. What happened was I had asked Councillor Brown for several weeks if we could separate the role, and time was coming through quickly, and the matter only was resolved the night before we went on the bus trip. I asked, the conversation was being had, you see yourself as the most affected.
Negative affected.
And that is, well, negative affected is your opinion. Personally, I did not see that you were any worse off than what you were before, and I'm sorry if you feel that way. However, the comment about me only giving the role to Councillor Ellis because he only had half a term left is inaccurate. That was not my intention, and I'm sorry if that is what you heard, but that definitely is not my intention. In fact, I think Councillor Ellis has earned the role, and I think Councillor Ellis has reflected decent, fair, considerate deliberation at this table, and he has earned that role.
Could I finish what I was talking about, Madam Mayor?
As long as I get a right to reply, certainly.
Thank you. Well, you seem to take them, so that will be fine. So that were the 2 questions, and you answered them. Okay, I won't go any further in what I want to do, but that I mean, council can make up their own mind, but I can count, and I will say I will be well observant. I know there are some independent councillors here. I respect their feelings, and I will respect if they don't vote against it, because it will be hard 18 months to come for individuals. What really threw me, Madam Mayor, and it was the last question you asked me, and I think Councillor Brown might have been there, that was the question regarding a letter to the editor written by a friend of mine. Your question was, were you involved? That threw me a wee bit, because I was not involved, I will tell you again, and I never was involved. All I knew, now hold on a minute, I'm not abusing anyone, I'm just making a statement. That person contacted me the night before telling me that the letter to the editor was going to be sent. That's all I knew, that's why I believe it. But I can tell you that that friendship with the gentleman and his wife is more to me than being sideswiped in council for the next 18 months. Thank you.
So I did not hear if you are, I'm sorry, I'm expecting that that's a vote against the recommendation.
You've got it correct.
Okay. Is there any further deliberation? Sorry, any further debate? Councillor Revelling.
Yeah, could I just have a clarification? You're voting against this. Are you accepting the position of Deputy Chair of Finance?
I stay where I am because that's the best way I can serve this council and the people in this council. Sorry, I should say in the district.
Is there any further debate? Then I will put the recommendation. I'm in favour. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? So we now move on to the matter of the Executive Committee and the Code of Conduct Committee.